This is the Houndsman XP Podcast.
Good dog, get that bear. Get that bear in here.
The original podcast for the complete Houndsman.
Look at your coat of go, Justin Hare. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him.
The podcast that represents our lifestyle of extreme performance.
Get up there. Get him. Get him. Yeah, good boy. Good boy, Ranger.
Uniting houndsmen across the globe, from east to west, north to south.
You know, if you're going to catch a cat or a lion, you know, you have to have teamwork.
We take you to the wildest places on earth.
Yeah, so how many days a week do you spend in bedding?
As much as I can, to be honest with you. Anytime that I get, I'm out there.
Join us for every heart-pounding adventure on Houndsman XP.
I'll tell you like I tell everyone else, I'm going to hunt whether you're here or not, so you might as well be here.
This is a great time for me to run an episode that was recorded in the Hiawatha National Forest, snowshoe hare hunting with the Gingerich family, Alan, his brother John, and his stepson Samuel. My brother and I were invited to come up and spend a few days with them in their remote camp in the Hiawatha National Forest, UP of Michigan. And man, what a great time. And the reason it's timely for me is because rabbit hunting on Thanksgiving for my family growing up was a tradition. Every year, my brother Matt, who is 13 months younger than I am, always kept beagles. I kept the coonhounds, but he kept the beagles. And I can't remember if it was prior to or after. It's probably prior to dinner. We would go out and rabbit hunt around the house. And you're going to hear a little bit of those stories and things like that. But mainly we're going to talk about hares and the style of beagles that it takes to be effective hare hunting in those thick north woods. Man, I'm telling you, it is thick. The spruce and the evergreens and everything grows up about 6 inches apart. And the amazing thing is Matt has only hunted cottontails with beagles, so it was a new experience for him, and you're going to get his reactions, and you're going to hear from Alan and Johnny about the style of beagles that they hunt. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We did record this very remotely, and it was just it was a challenge, but I think you're going to enjoy this podcast. I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the other episodes that we've done. Listen to some of your favorites again. Guys, the beagles are rocking the Old South dog box. There's a hare to be chased. It's time to dump the box.
I've got up a couple times during the night, and the North Star's been hanging right here. It starts out there, and it comes around and hangs up over here.
Last night, or I should say this morning when I woke up, it was bright out.
Yeah.
It was so bright. I mean,
I've walked back there a couple times without a light on.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going to talk, you're going to have to talk louder.
Okay.
Just so you know. And it's not just for my ears, it's for what this isn't picking up.
I don't figure I have much to offer unless you want to talk about how not to shoot a rabbit.
We're definitely going to talk about how to not shoot a rabbit. I promise you that. So, we are live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, 2021 at the, what do we call this thing, Alan?
I don't know. We can call it whatever we want to. It's like the annual little hare camp hunt deal on, what is it?
In the Hiawatha.
Hiawatha,
That's what it is.
The Hiawatha Hare Adventure 2021.
There you go.
Yep. How many years have you guys been coming up here?
Oh, man, we've been coming up here for a bunch of years. I'm going to say probably the better part of 10 years now that we've been coming to this area.
At least 10 years up here, yep.
We used to hunt below the bridge, before that, but in the last 10 years we've come up here to...
Well, you guys grew up below the bridge.
Yeah.
We did, yeah. Little town called Mayo.
Down by Mayo.
What is it, John, about 2 hours south of here, maybe?
Yeah, about an hour and a half from the bridge, so about 2 hours. Yep.
Yeah.
So let's do some introductions. To my right, I've got Johnny Gingerich.
Yep.
And then I'm happy to have my brother with me, Matt. And we got Samuel.
That's my stepson, yep. Samuel.
Yep. And once again, how many times you been on this podcast? We're going to have to give you frequent flyer miles or something.
Yeah.
How many times? Is this 4?
I don't know. At least 3, I think.
It's
Maybe
3 or
3
4.
or 4. We did one last year.
Yeah, we did one on the road home
We
last
did.
year.
We did.
Yeah.
Stopped at the gas station, filled up with gas, and I could jump back in to drive home, and you've got the headphones out, and you said we're doing a podcast. So that's what we did.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I just kind of want to get their reflections on being up here in the UP and hunting and stuff like that. But since you and Alan are old hats at this, I'd like to get Matt's impression of being up here.
Yeah, it's fast and furious compared to cottontails, for sure. They're harder to kill.
Yeah. How many times you shoot today to kill one hare?
33%. I already did the math in my head. You can shoot at a cottontail and not hit it and kill it, though. But you can't scare a hare to death, I don't think.
Yeah. So the reason I really wanted to bring you up here is because of how much fun I had last year. Matt and I grew up in rural Indiana and between coon dogs, but Matt always had beagles, and he always liked his beagles. And I mean, we wore those beagles out in that little weed patch, wooded area behind our house and all along the creek and everything for years.
Mostly creeks, I'd say, yeah.
Yep.
Fence lines and creeks.
Yep. And I don't know that we ever had... Sally was a good little beagle. How would you describe her?
Fat and slow compared to these dogs. These dogs are tall and fast.
So how many did you keep back then? Did you have several or just a couple or what?
She was the main one, and then I think somebody gave me a taller dog named Barney.
Yeah, I
He
did.
was pretty good.
I got him from that family up by Edinburgh, Barney.
Yeah, he was weird. He could climb really well, but you couldn't get close to him. You'd have to just put the tailgate down. He'd get in. He'd go hunt. He didn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
But I think at one time you had 4. I mean, with Barney
She
and
had a litter of pups from a stray dog.
something, and they were action packed.
They were more like bloodthirsty rabbit dogs. they were fast.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals. It's like I remember when I don't know how many years did we have Thanksgiving dinner at our house, and one of the highlights after Thanksgiving dinner was taking your beagles and going on a rabbit hunt. We saw all kinds of crazy stuff with Uncle Steve. You remember him wearing those cowboy boots on that snow? It snowed that year. He's wearing cowboy boots and he's shooting Mom's Browning .22 rifle.
Well, I was part of it. Thanksgiving dinner and hunting rabbits.
Nobody wore hunter orange. It's a good thing the game warden didn't come around. We'd all got hooked up, got tickets for something.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys get into beagles, Johnny?
Well, we just always been around it, and they're in Mayo and stuff. It was kind of we hunted with guys that had beagles. I don't know that we had our own, really. We had a few, I guess. We had some of our own, and then we always went with a few of the old timers from around town, and they kind of taught us the ropes, and I don't know, it just kind of went from there. I just remember we always hunted in, after chores or whatever there on the farm. We'd just go out back, and we'd run some cottontail, but we'd run a lot of hare right there on the farm we grew up on.
You had hare all the way up in the below the bridge.
Yeah. Close to the Osable River down there. And then I moved to Ohio about 95, I guess it was, and got down there, and there was a lot of cottontail down there, a lot of beagles, a lot of good cottontail beagles. But I remember the first snow come around, and they put the dogs up. They said you can't run in the snow. Well, I knew you could run in the snow because that's the only time we hunted was in the snow and cold up north. So, yeah. So I don't know, we just had a lot of fun running cottontails and stuff in Ohio, but just had a hankering always to go back up north and run those hare, and that's kind of why we started coming up here. So, yeah.
You guys have been making this a family deal. You guys wouldn't even allow us to come up the first weekend because it was like exclusively family for the Gingeriches.
Didn't even show up this year.
Nobody but Gingerich is allowed in the Hiawatha.
No, we wanted to make sure we had enough room for everybody, and we were going to be up here for. I tried to make it a 10-day deal with John here, but we're going to make it about 7 or 8, I guess. So that's good enough. But Johnny's talking about he doesn't remember us having beagles back home, but not to date myself, but he was quite a bit younger than I. But Paul and I used to have a couple when we were, kids there. And I don't know. See, I left. I don't know how old you would have been. So you may not even really remember that some of those dogs that we had.
Well, remember we
then.
had a few. Didn't Uncle Sam have a dog or two or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably the same place you used to find hare. After we were gone, was back there in that little corner of the property there in the northeast corner there.
Yep.
There and then on over to the neighbors. But yeah, just like for Paul and I, or at least for me, we loved it when we'd get on a hare.
That was basically just on the back 40.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about coming up here, I mean, we've talked about it all day, but, people are like, oh, you guys are going up to the UP. What are you going up there for? We're going to go up and, we're going to hunt hares. Like, you're going to go all the way up there to hunt rabbits? And they're not rabbits, are they, Alan?
No, they're not rabbits.
What are they?
They're hares. They're snowshoe hares.
Snowshoe hare.
It's not the same thing, Chris. It's two different things, two different species.
Yeah, you can't call it a rabbit around here, right?
No.
I got corrected all night last night. No rabbits. But the thing for me coming up here is, just listen. There's nothing. There's no jets flying over. There's no noise pollution. There's no light pollution. And you can just drive down the road, and when you find good rabbitat, you just pull over and dump the dogs out, and you don't worry about it. And that's something that you don't get this side of the Mississippi River very many places.
Yeah, there's just not many places left where you can, like a do-it-yourself type of hunt, but you can up here in the Hiawatha if you know what to look for, the snowshoe habitat. Man, we love it up here. That's why we come up here every year. We just have a blast. This time of the year, we're here on the what is it, third week in October, so there's no snow on the ground yet. But it's they just started turning color, but it's just a great time. Oftentimes the running is just excellent this time of year. We've had good running this week, all week, except for yesterday. We had some sunshine. Most of the time it's been overcast, had a little bit of drizzle, rain, and everything, mostly overcast. Yesterday we had some sunshine, a little bit of wind, and we struggled a little bit. But other than that, man, it's generally this time of the year is just a good time to come up here.
Yeah. It's nice to have a half a dozen dogs or whatever, so we don't wear them out. And on the first day or whatever, we kind of trade off. And
I'll tell you what, after yesterday, I looked over at Matt. We'd been out there all afternoon, and I was thinking, holy crap, he's going to think we drove 9 hours yesterday for this. And
Yeah.
would you? Did you think that?
No, it's all about the experience of being up here. This is a fantastic place to visit, hunt, and just get outdoors.
You got the camp set up, and it's just cool. It's cool. So I do want to talk a little bit about, drill down into this concept of the difference between a cottontail dog and a hare dog. Because you've said several times that your dogs are a little more hare bred type beagles. And what does that mean?
Well, the first thing I think about when I think about a hare dog is stamina. A dog that can just get out there and go. I mean, we're not talking about just briars. We're talking about covering some ground and, looking for these hare and then being able to hang with one. Not just a couple squiggly 100, 250 yards. We're talking about miles, through these cedar swamps and all that kind of stuff. And it takes a little special dog. It takes a gritty dog to hang in there. We don't have to be really flashy, but they just need to. It's a little different line, And I like a big dog. Traditionally, if there's snow on the ground or whatever, you need something that can navigate through that and all that kind of stuff. So, there's dogs that are bred for that are more bred for hare, and a lot of dogs will do both. Actually, you'll bring cottontail dogs up here; they'll do fine. Most of them, they don't all, but most of them do. So, you can kind of do both with them. But I kind of tend to lean towards the hare-bred dogs.
So, but have you got hare there in Holmes County?
No.
But so you're running them on cottontail most of the time, right?
Cottontail there, yep. Mm-hmm.
And do they do good on cottontail?
They do very good. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I was trialing a hare dog at a field trial in close to home, and there was a big snowstorm. Dumped a foot of snow that morning. And I think there was, I don't know, out of 40-some dogs, she was the only dog that come in with any kind of points. The only dog that come in with points,
and why? What's the difference between...
Snow, whatever, just kind of, I don't know, just kind of...
right in her wheelhouse.
Yeah, it was more, she knew what to do.
Yeah. Well, describe the difference for people describe the difference between a cottontail will run and a hare will run. I don't think people really, if you're just like, for us, coming from southern Indiana and growing up hunting cottontails, and then you get up here and you listen to a hare race, it's crazy different.
Yeah, so back home, we always look for growed up farmsteads and fence rows and weeds and that kind of thing or whatever, and you get up into this north country and it looks a little desolate, and they got these big swamps and wooded areas or whatever, and it just kind of sort of looks like there's nothing there or whatever, and you turn these dogs loose and they come out with these hare. They just I don't know, it's just a whole different deal. I guess it's kind of the same type of, if you like cottontail hunting and love to hear dogs run, you'll like this hare thing, but it's kind of same, but it's a lot different. You might have one or two hare in a day that's all you need. If they run good, that's all you need to last for a whole day. Where cottontail, you might need a 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 or whatever, and they go to a hole, and these hare will not go to a hole. That's one of the big differences. They might go into some of these blowdowns and give the dogs a rough time, but they will not go into a hole and just stay there. They'll hide, they'll climb into branches and roots and that kind of thing, but they won't go to ground. They won't dig a hole and go to ground or whatever. So
So when you say they're climbing branches, you talking about they're climbing trees, or are they climbing over blowdowns?
Just
and stuff like that?
blowdowns and that kind of stuff. They'll climb up in, and the dogs will be underneath looking for them or whatever. Unless they get up in there, they'll probably won't find them.
Yeah,
there's not many loses, but there's some. Every once in a while, there's some loses. So.
Scaling rocks and I mean, just doing crazy stuff that these snowshoes do.
Yeah.
But Matt, what's one of the biggest things you've seen different between running cottontails at home and then first time experience coming in up here and watching these hare run?
Well, you kind of trade briar patches and fence rows and hardwood trees for, like Johnny was talking about, swamp areas and really dense fir and pine cedar thickets where 15 yards is a long way to have, a visual. Where at home you can see 50 to 75 yards a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, what about the length of the races? That's the thing that How long did we run that rabbit hare? I'm sorry, Al.
That's a hare.
How long did we run the hare this afternoon?
You're right.
I think it was around 2 hours, but the interesting thing to me is at one point the dog was so far away from us that couldn't hear it anymore. And I've really never experienced that with cottontails. Usually they'll run out about 100 yards or so and come back around.
When you don't hear them, you're thinking off game, right?
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
That's only if you're hunting trashy plots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, I've thought about it a couple times. It's like they're taking something out there, and I'm thinking, that's not a rabbit. That's got to be something a lot longer leg. And then they bring it back around, and they're crossing the trail with the hare. They took off on that one, and we thought it was today. We thought it was they actually switched tracks. You said it. But they bring it. You saw the hare cross a road. The dogs cross right there. They get in there, and they jump it again. And then Matt ended up shooting it, and killing it on his fifth shot.
Yep. I think he's exaggerating. I think it was only 4. Wasn't it?
It was 5. No, it was 5. You know it was. Don't try to be nice now just because he can.
We want him to come back next year.
Yeah.
It is so much fun, though. This afternoon, just like that place we were at this afternoon, just running that same hare like Johnny said, or Matt too, they'll run it for a couple hours like that. And it's just a whole lot different than cottontail, really. It's kind of the same, but it's totally different. Whoever said that,
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes they're not as predictable. A cottontail is a lot more predictable, making a circle and coming back to where they jumped it a lot of times, and not that far from it. Whereas a hare, you never know what they're going to do. They may make a big old loop, make big old circles, or go out straight line, come back and kind of weave and wind around and do all kinds of things. They're just unpredictable. That's one of the things I think makes it so exciting to go after them.
Yeah. I mean, one time you think, okay, this is the time they're going to bring it right back through here, and that hare's taking them on a ride for 700 or 800 yards through a swamp. I mean, it's crazy, for sure. So let's talk about the differences between like a hare dog and a cottontail dog. What's the main difference that you have seen when you're talking about a dog that's bred for hare? What's different about that dog than a cottontail dog?
I think Johnny kind of covered it a little bit, and I would agree. A lot of it is stamina, and the stamina is not just to be able to run for a couple of hours, but all day long, really. And you got to have the dogs in shape, but they also got to have that drive and that want to run all day long. A dog that's going to get bored by running is probably not going to make a good hare dog.
Have you seen dogs that would be bored from running?
Probably so, yeah. I've seen dogs that just kind of have that quit in them. It just seems a lot of harehound dogs. You talk about dogs that are bred, harehound dogs bred. A lot of them are just simply bred with more grit, more desire, probably, than maybe some of your other rabbit dogs might be.
I never thought about it like that, but a dog
And
gets...
it's all about the purpose. Well, you know what you need them for. And Hare, you got to have it.
Yeah.
You got to have it.
I never thought about that like that. A dog gets bored from running. You know, when a dog comes out, you think they're tired or you think there's something like that. But I think there's probably something to that. It's like, man, I've been running this rabbit for 2 hours and I'm just kind of tired of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what I love when you here at night. Here we've got the truck sitting around here. We've got dogs out here. We've got some boxes over here with some dogs in it. We don't hear much movement at all. And the only thing you hear is dogs out here snoring right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It is
what
what
we're
they'll
gonna-
be ready to go first thing in the morning.
They do get
more.
wore out.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to hear from Johnny here in a little bit, too. How many miles you put on today, Johnny?
Whew, I don't know, a couple, 3, 4, 5.
He's not talking about his dogs either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Get in and out of a couple of them swamps, getting a couple of dogs out. Man, oh man.
You showed me one picture of someplace you went into,
Yeah.
and I asked you if you were taking a picture of the ground.
Yeah, no, it was,
It's like, no, that was straight ahead.
yeah, it was straight ahead. Yeah.
I mean, it was solid, blocked off, crazy.
Yeah. So.
Sometimes these dogs will show you where these rabbits go to hide. You know, it's in some
Hare,
of the
Johnny, Hare.
Hare. They,
Yeah, it's Hare.
They go in there. They go into these swamps. It seems like that's what they got to have a swamp close by to sort of exist a little bit. And I think that's another big difference in these cottontail dogs and these hare dogs is they got to. There's a lot of different types of water and dirt and roots and leaves and all
Terrain
all-
changes.
A lot of different terrain changes
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, more than just a fence row or briars and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. Not taking away anything
No.
from cottontail hunters, but
Absolutely not.
it's
No,
just
it's just a different.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
a
different.
little more consistent ground when you're hunting cottontails. But I guess if you took a hare dog up here, and you ran him in this every day, it'd be consistent.
Yeah.
It would be.
I'm going to say a lot of your hare dogs are probably going to get away with having a little more foot, a little more speed or whatever, because they can kind of pick up their head and go with it, in a straight line.
As a matter of fact, they have to.
Yeah.
A good hare dog is not probably. They got to lift their head and go.
If you don't keep a little pressure on them, these hare will be able to
Yeah.
hide on them somewhere in these swamps.
I think one of the things that amazed me was, like, you guys always let a hare come through a couple times before we get serious about, picking up the gun. But you'd see the hare cross a minute before the dogs came through sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time they bring it back, they'd be 10 yards or, they'd be right on it.
Yeah.
And to think that they can go out there and make up that kind of ground
Mm-hmm.
and bring that hare back around to you, that was impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes they're a couple, 300-400 yards away. Next thing you know, they're right here in front of you trying to cross the road with
And
you.
it happens quick.
Yeah.
It's you hear him coming, and who said it? Somebody said if you're not ready, then you got to be
too
ready
late.
to shoot. You're too late.
Yep.
Samuel's been working on a shooting stick.
That shooting stick cost me a rabbit, actually, or a hare, I should say.
Yeah.
I had the audacity to try and move up a street with it. And right as I'm moving up, I got the gun up, and right as I'm about to start setting up that hare across the street, and it was just that second was too late.
Right. Yeah, you got the notch cut in the top of the stick, and he's sitting there resting the shotgun on the stick, and I'm thinking, he's using shooting sticks for hare, and but he's ready. He's getting ready, to pull the trigger.
Hey, he's put some meat in the freezer. You're talking about the difference between cottontail and hare. You use these Garmins, and you can watch on the tracks on your map. We showed you guys that, Matt. We showed some of that to you. Just the difference. But they just plaster that. It's not just a racetrack. They have got the whole area. After a couple hours, it's amazing how they can just track up everywhere.
They painted the whole section.
Oh man!
You normally, like, if you're bear hunting or you're coon hunting or something like that, they can go in there and scribble a dot if they're blue ticking around in there and stuff. But man, after you run a hare for 2 hours,
that's another element that is tough on dogs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be able to, you know, they make a loop out and come back into maybe an area where they've run around and tracked up, take it back out, come back in. The more time they come back into this area, and a lot of times those hare just love doing that. You know, get into that certain area, and you look on your Garmin how they've got it tracked up. It's pretty amazing what those dogs can do to you know, some of them are just better at it than others, you know, after a little while, you know, to keep that track going like that. But that's something you don't really run into cottontail hunting. Not like this.
yeah, because you know, first or second pass, and they make a pass, and you're gunning the rabbit at that point. So we can call those rabbits.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you put together a pack of hare dogs? Because I mean, are all your dogs consistently running same speed, or do you have swing dogs, or do you have some dogs that are a little bit slower that'll pick up a lose? You know, how do you guys construct a pack? Because I've heard you talk about the A team.
We have an A team and a B team.
Yeah,
right?
the A team and the B team.
You know, so I mean, you got to do it. You got to put a little planning in it, especially if you're at it for a couple of days, because you can ruin it in a day if you don't have the right dogs put together or whatever. You know, you have to have your dogs that kind of run together, run the same speed or do the same thing or whatever. You know, kind of run those together, and you just you can't run them out all day usually, because sometimes you'll get 25 miles a day, and that's just too much for these dogs day after day after day. So we have a couple of packs we put together, you know, and depends on the area we hunt in and all that. And I don't know, Alan, you spent a lot of time planning.
Yeah, there's a couple elements that you want to look for. One is we're not walking these dogs out through to hunt for a hare.
You can't.
They got to do it. We're not going to walk them out across a field or you know, down this fence row or what have you. You know, they got to go hunt for these. So that's one of we got to have dogs that go out and hunt. So we're talking about putting packs together, and we really don't. Most of the dogs that we have will go out and hunt on their own. Don't need to be. But that's one thing that's a little bit different. You know, cottontail hunting. One of the things sometimes you do want your dogs to hunt with you. You know, and that's true in cottontail hunting. You want them to hunt with you and handle like that. Up here, you get it. You want to have a dog that goes out, and sometimes they have to go out. You know, it's nothing for them to have to go out 200, 300, 400, 500 yards to go jump a hare.
Yeah.
So they have to hunt. They have to have that desire to. So when you put packs together, that's one of the elements we want to make sure we have a dog in the pack, or a couple dogs that are going to go do that.
Range out.
If they're not going to range out, we're probably not going to get a hare up. Then the other thing for me too is always kind of speed and is kind of foot. You know, sometimes we'll have some dogs that are just footier than others, and if you run a slower dog with a couple of footier dogs, why the slower dog is just not going to contribute much. You know, and you're better served, I think. And that's one thing I like to watch for a little bit.
Will they pick up loses though? I mean, because a fast dog can overrun tracks.
Sure,
and
absolutely, they'll do that. But otherwise, you know, sometimes I don't know. It just works better, I think. You know, to have more so on hare than because if you have a fast dog, really fast dog, they can stretch them out pretty quickly. We have one. Johnny has one that he's running up here this week. That is, he'll laugh if I say that, but I noticed the first day already, man. He's gonna stretch a couple of my females out pretty good. It's just the way he is, you know. He'll stretch them out, and I think we have the one female I brought up here. She's an excellent dog, you know, and so she's better served to serve the whole pack well if she's in a pack that is more her speed.
You talking about Fiddle?
No, I'm not talking. Not Fiddle. I'm talking about Dottie.
I like Fiddle.
Yeah. Fiddle's just Fiddle. We overfed her a little too much before. I don't know what happened, Sam. I've been on the road for 7 weeks in a row, and We brought Fatty along up here.
You told me half a scoop. I gave her half a scoop.
Yeah, well, it seemed like every time the pack come across the driveway somewhere or whatever, the last one in line, there's Fiddle, and she'd almost stop and look at us.
Yeah, Fiddle.
on going.
Yeah, Fiddle's doing her own thing. I like Fiddle.
No, but that's just one of the differences that I look for. You know, when you switch up packs, you know, in the middle of the day, or you kind of split them up a little bit. We talk about running dogs all day long. We'll have some that will run all day, and we do sometimes. But
They ran all day today.
Yeah, on this trip we tried to kind of, for the most part, split them up a little bit, a couple of packs a day. So you got to kind of watch some of those.
But
things.
if you get that freak of nature, that phenomenal fast, can really put pressure on a hare, and you don't have other dogs to go with him, how does that affect your hunt? I mean, there's got to be phenoms within the beagle community, you know, that just know how to do it. Mm-hmm. But you guys all your dogs, when they cross that line or when they come across the road, there's not much space between them, and you guys have figured out how to manage that a little bit.
Yeah. And that's what I like to see. I think last year when you and I were up here, you asked me the question, what's one of the things I want every dog? What do I look for a dog to be in the pack? And I think I probably told you, contribute. I want to see every one of them contribute in some way. If you have dogs in there that just do everything and they have no chance or no opportunity to contribute at all, they're not doing much good, really. And sometimes you have a dog that can do that, but if they don't get that opportunity, you know, there's always a faster dog, always there first, this, that. It's kind of a...
And they're going to have to pick up their head and kind of go with the pack.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, there's no sense in hanging back or whatever. We need to pick their heads up and move out, I guess.
The other thing I think that happens sometimes, if you run, now we're talking running hours here. One of the differences, and is if you have a dog that is just slower than if you have them in with faster dogs, sometimes you'll get dogs that just finally get tired and sick of that, get a little jealous maybe, and they will just want to split off and go run their own. You don't want that to happen. And that will sometimes. You see that sometimes if you're
can't keep up,
and they will eventually just go split off, and that's not really a good thing. You know,
so then you
don't want to, you know,
turn hare hunting into hound hunting at that point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Trying to round up hounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I had a line of a question I was going to ask you there about the types of hounds, but I think you guys pretty much covered it on that part. You guys you're getting good at this, Alan.
Well, I love it. I'm telling you, you know, it's.
This podcasting thing. You're getting good at podcasting.
I don't know about that, but this is just you know. I love hunting with a lot of different dogs. You know, I love coon hunting, this and that. You know, but for me, with my work schedule and everything, the month of September is always full. Every weekend thing, 6-7 weekends working with my job, and then this week in October, being able to get away for a week and doing something I've done since I was a kid. Man, this is it for me. This is my passion, kind of get away from it all, and it makes it even better to be here with my brothers and family. Really, makes it good. Well, and then also to have other friends come up and share some of the same, have some fun with it. Just like it's good for you to bring your brother Matt up here. Good to meet him, and hope he's had fun too.
No, I've had a blast.
Mm-hmm. You know, having the fires goes really well with hare hunting and stuff, because you know we spend a lot of time standing around waiting on them dogs to come back from 500-600 yards out or whatever. Sometimes not. You know. Yeah. So there's always, you know, you got to have a fire, got to have some chairs, you got to have. Anybody can do this. If you can sit in a chair, you can hunt hare. I think, really.
I'm way less tired hunting hare than I ever was hunting cottontail. Oh yeah.
I mean, so the guys at camp, they get just as many shots as opportunities as the guys out there in the bush. You know.
That's a cool thing. Like this camp, we turned dogs loose from here this morning. I mean, we're sitting here eating bacon and eggs and, drinking coffee, and the dogs they've already got a hare running. And
That's cool, isn't it?
oh my gosh, it's really cool.
Your eggs never tasted so good.
Oh yeah, sitting in chairs out here on the road, listening to him swing this hare 300 or 400 yards out in this place that has no noise pollution, so you can hear him forever. Well, most people can. I can't, but person with decent hearing can hear him.
Yeah, you talked about how quiet it is. So last night on the way back to camp, we were at a different area. So we dropped Johnny off and with a couple dogs, 1.5 miles up the road. Well, it's kind of a caddy for a corner from here. A mile. It's a good. Maybe not quite 1.5 miles from here.
Yeah.
We came back here to camp, turned some dogs loose here, and got on a hare right away before his did actually. And his dogs hear ours and
Trying
can
to
hear
pull-
him from there, and we've got one of his makes its way over this way.
Yeah.
That's over 1 mile away. So you talk about quiet around here.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing area, amazing time, and I'm grateful that you invited me to come up here because I got to tell you, the first time you're like, man, you ought to come up to the UP and run hare with me. I'm thinking, man, drive 9 hours to chase a rabbit. And then I got up here and I did it, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Just the idea of, like you said, Johnny, about having a campfire. I don't think we stop anywhere without somebody, especially in the morning, without somebody building a campfire, getting ready, and then we're cooking hamburgers on the grill for lunch, and
That's out in the field, wherever we are.
yeah, wherever we're at, and it's not a blood sport type thing. It's like, that those dogs that brought that hare around here. This is going to be the third pass. Somebody probably ought to maybe spread out. You guys spread out along this trail here, and we'll try to go ahead and end this one. So, catch dogs or shoot
on the trail
shoot the
because
hare.
that's the only place you can see to shoot.
Yeah, that's the truth.
A lot of these places are too thick to even shoot.
Yeah.
You get a little lane a couple feet long, you're lucky.
So, I think it'd be good when we talk about how thick it is and stuff. What happened to you today, Matt, when you got off the trail back there?
Oh, you talking about the 300-foot circle I walked in? Perfect. You need a compass or a GPS if you're going to go far off the trail around here.
No landmarks. It's all flat.
No.
It's just so daggone thick, and I did the same thing last year. There aren't any landmarks really. I mean, you're talking 10-foot visibility in a lot of places,
Well,
and
you're walking and trying to keep sticks out of your eyes and pine needles out of your shirt, and next thing you know, you walked in a 300-foot circle.
I don't even know how you realized that. Did you look at your GPS and realize you did that, or
I saw the same deadfall that I saw the first time I walked by it. So time to adjust my bearing a little bit.
and then you're thinking, "There's no way. There's no way I just walked by that." Then you check your GPS. It's like, wow, I just walked a circle. I only heard about that, or only read about that in books.
And then there's
don't
Samuel with his nice new walking stick. He
Oh, that thing.
drops it 100 yards back when we caught dogs, and he was seriously thinking about just leaving it there rather than walking back 100 yards to get it. It was
100 yards doesn't sound like much, but oh my gosh, it's so thick. You got to fight through every step.
Well, last year, that same place where Matt walked that circle, and you did this to me on purpose. We had that hare running back in there, and you said, "Hey,
I
why
know
don't
what you're going to say, but I'm not going to. You walked right into it.
why don't you go back there and see if you can turn those dogs this way?" And it's like, "Yep, I got another one to go back in that stuff and do that." And it was starting to get dark, and I was kind of like, "Wow, I've seen Hunter Ed videos how this ends. Some crazy man lost and disoriented and dies of hypothermia in the bush in Upper Michigan." So, yeah, buddy. Yep. Crazy stuff. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys got anything, final thoughts? I think we'll wrap this up.
really.
I'll tell you what. I thank you guys for inviting us to come up. It's really cool. It's really cool. It's really relaxing to come and hunt, and you guys are putting in all the hard work with dogs and feeding dogs and different stuff like that, and I appreciate it.
Hey, we
Appreciate
it.
you coming.
You guys brought some good food. Turns out you guys are both good cooks, so we appreciated the dinner you cooked up.
We like to eat.
Heck yeah, well, so do we.
Yep. We're good. Well, guys, appreciate it. And like always, until next time you follow your hounds, I'll follow mine.